peoples. Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Convicted to Grow podcast. I'm your girl, Coach Tressa, motivational speaker, confidence and business coach. My goal is not only to empower to elevate you when it comes to confidence and strategy in life and in business, but to bring people from all walks of life to share their growth journey as it relates to their entrepreneur growth journey. So, y'all, before we get started, if you're on the audio side, please make sure you hop over to the YouTube channel and subscribe to the Convicted to Grow channel. If you would like to be a supporter of the show, go to convictedtogrowpodcast.com. Just know that I appreciate you guys. Your likes, your comments, your shares are priceless to me. So thank you in advance. Now, my next guest, y'all, I tell you, he got a fire website. Because I was like, look at this. He's an author, speaker, coach, father, husband, dog dad,
Yep.
a trainer. And it was crazy, y'all. We had DJ, a photographer, an educator, a realtor, sport athlete, financial coach. So I think this is going to be our first one having somebody from the health and wellness so I'm excited because I have some questions because I'll be struggling, y'all, with this weight journey. But anyway, he said he is your trainer for life. He has a holistic approach to personal development. He is a transformational speaker and wellness professional who brings a powerful story and a passion to grow others. He talks to teens, kids, educators, even corporate leaders. So with his passion for communication and advocacy, this man strives to cultivate the greatness inside each individual, whether it's with mental health, leadership, or character development. So y'all help me welcome none other than Chase Livingston.
Oh man, Coach Tressa coming on here with the intro. I love it. Okay, man, I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know where to begin other than just like, wow, thank you so much for having me on here. I mean, we connected on Threads, which, by the way, if y'all are sleeping on Threads, like, I'm getting so much engagement and pop on there that I have not been able to see on any other platform. So my entrepreneurs, my leaders who are like trying to work that up a little bit, y'all have got to get on Threads because connections are being made. I mean, that's where I got in touch with Coach Tressa. But no, can I say something to the people real fast?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right, y'all. So I know you talk to leaders, you talk to entrepreneurs, you talk to busy professionals. You got a big ministry, we'll say. Well, you got a big business. You got a large group of people who you speak to. And right before I came on the show, I got to thinking, and it was probably a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago. I'm laying in bed. I'm about to go to sleep. And I feel like God gave me a vision. And I'm like, I'm about to pass out. And I'm like laying on this beach. And I see this huge ship coming in. I'm like 3 Titanics, huge, okay? And it looks like an old pirate ship mixed with like this new state-of-the-art battleship type thing. And I'm like, my gosh. And this thing like washes up on shore and comes like right up to my face. And I said, God, what in the world is that? And I was thinking about this, kind of praying on it. And it didn't just come back to me until just now. And I think there's some people listening to your show, you included, Coach Tressa, that some of y'all's ministry is so big that like you don't even know where to start. Like, it's like, man, I got so many different things I want to do, so many ways I want to move and shake and change the world, but I don't even know, like, where do I begin with this big gift? Because if you actually look at what a ship represents, it represents a ministry. It represents like a mission, right? You're trying to go out onto the seas, onto the ocean, and actually make a change in the world, right? And many of us, we don't know like where to even start on building our ship. But what I want to tell you guys is it's not so much of a thing where we got to figure out how to build it, but God's going to bring it to you. This thing is about to be crashing into you. He's going to give you the insight, the vision, the clarity, all the steps that you need to take in order to build up this ship that you can go. Because check this out, the pirate ship with the battleship, that represents 2 different things. Can I go into it real quick?
Come on, let me get my notebooks.
Come on, go ahead. You're going to want to write this down because the pirate ship represents old frameworks, old systems, old principles. These are things that always work no matter what, right? Things like stewardship, proper faith, providing value to others. These are things that always work, right? There are some principles, there are some systems, they always work. That's the old frameworks. Now, you also have this battleship. Now, what is that? That represents the new systems, the new methods that we now see. Man, we got things like these different trends. We got social media, we got AI, we got podcasts. There's all these different things now, right? And so we have to find a way to build our ship, and we meld these two things together, and it creates this huge thing where we can go out and do it. And so I want to encourage you, if you feel like you got a big gift, one, you're not alone, but two, continue to allow God to bring you that vision of what it looks like. Take those two pieces, the old frameworks, the principles that always work, and find a way to use these new systems, because that's going to be how you shine through and you make your mark in today's culture and society. So I hope that lands with somebody today.
Y'all, we ain't even hit 10 minutes yet.
I'm telling you.
Let me tell you something. Let me give you your flowers right now. God makes no mistake when I'm choosing the guest that I need to choose. I met this man, like he said. Let me tell y'all something about the power of proximity. I met this man on Threads off a powerful post. He posted something. I was like, oh, I don't remember what it was, because he dropped every day. But all I know is I needed to hear that at that moment. And I'm just like, man, and I didn't even follow you, but it was so powerful. I followed you from that powerful post.
Yeah.
After I followed you, I don't even know. I was like, because again, y'all, I like to check people's social media out. Had no clue. I was like, let me go over here to his Instagram. Because if it's worth something, I'm gonna follow you over there.
Yeah.
I'm looking, I'm like, well, he got his own podcast. He's speaking, he's like in the same arena. And then we have so many mutual connections.
So many mutuals.
We're in the same community, y'all.
Yep.
Shout out to the Next Level Speakers community.
What's up, Next Level?
Yes. I was like, what? Then, as we're talking prior to this podcast recording, me and him both was in the Game Changers community. Shout out to Dr. Eric Thomas, ETK Associates.
The GOAT.
Y'all. And this one, I'm just like, man. But I always ask God, I said, God, in this season, my assignment is in my alignment. Like, bring the people that I need to connect with. And here you are. And I know you gifted, because you came out look, I already came out acting brand new over here.
Well, listen, I mean, I'm not going to come on here because I've seen some of your guests, and I knew when I came onto this platform that I better be bringing something to the table, because you've had some of my personal heroes on the show, like Miss Nikki coming on here. Like, I haven't got to go listen to that full episode, but I know some game was dropped. You know, I don't know what post it was that you liked and, you know, kind of initiated this whole thing, but I wrote one down yesterday. And like, I'm really going to try to live like this in 2025. And what I said was, we need to pray like God's our ultimate provider, but we need to work like he owes us nothing. I'm going to say it one more time for those who didn't catch it. We need to pray like God is our ultimate provider, but we got to work like it's all on us. Like he doesn't know us anything. Because the truth is he doesn't know us anything. If he does nothing else for us, man, he paid it all on the cross. And I know this isn't necessarily a spiritual show, but like, hey, the work, it's got to back up the faith, right? Right? The faith is the essential component, that foundational element. But if there ain't no works on top, come on, it's just dead.
Whew. Listen, y'all, I told y'all in the beginning of this journey, always have a Convicted to Grow notebook, because you just never know who I get on this show that's going to drop some gems. And man, listen, wow, you so powerful. Man.
You wasn't expecting that, Coach Tressa? I mean, no, I'm just playing.
I swear you should be in radio. You got that voice.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way, because whenever I hear myself talk back, I'm like, bro, you need to quit talking. You ever done that? You listen to yourself like on a video or something. You're like, I sound like that? No. And I want to do this for a living. Oh gosh, what am I about to put people through? So no,
your really voice is definitely me. I still got that Southern twang. Hey y'all.
Hey, me too. I'm a Texas boy, born and raised. And actually, that's like some of the stuff I put in my notes, because I'm going to get ahead of myself. I'm so excited. I got so much I want to share.
Okay, but listen, tell the people a little bit where you from and all this stuff.
Yeah. So like I said, Texas boy, born and raised. I've never lived outside of the state of Texas. And actually, up until the last year and a half, I had probably been out of the state of Texas a handful of times. The furthest I've ever been away from home is LA. I went to LA last year. It's the furthest east I've ever been. I was there for less than 24 hours for a speaking engagement. I was like, wow, that's my taste of California, I guess. I've never been so far east, Maryland, Virginia. I'm trying to get some boots down over there, but I haven't quite made it. But what I will say is, yes, I'll tell you a little bit about my story. So, and this is actually some recent stuff. We're not going to go into the origin story, like all the way back. You know, it started in grade school. I'm not going to bore anybody with that. But up until this last year, I know you got some people who are trying to build a business, trying to raise a family, trying to do some big things in their life and their community. And I had a gym. And let me tell you, I was so proud of this gym. I've been working in my garage as a personal trainer for 3 years, going on 4 years. And it was about New Year's. And I'm sitting in my garage. This is New Year's of 2023. And I'm looking around and I said, God, like, how long are you going to keep me in this garage? Like, come on, like, I want to get out of here. Like, there's so much more outside of this garage. And then so later that year, I got in contact with somebody. We formed a business partnership. We opened up a brick and mortar gym. So I've got people coming to this gym, right? I'm running business. I'm like, God, thank you so much for this. This is incredible. I've been praying for this. I've been working for this. Like, it's so cool to see this happen. And for me, this was like a generational thing, okay? This was going to be something that like I one day pass down to my son. He's going to come up and he's going to run this gym. Like, right, we're talking generational wealth and entrepreneurship here. And about April this year, 2024, all of that comes to an end. It goes back to the importance, you guys, of making sure when you get in business partnerships that you are equally yoked, that you are on the same page, that there's transparent communication. I learned so much in business through this whole experience. But anyways, to keep the story short, I ended up having to leave that business and being in a position where my hopes, my dreams, my ambitions were just like crushed. I came back to this garage and I start running my business back out of here. And I'm thinking, wow, like, I feel like I just had to take a few steps back. Like, I feel like I'm back at ground zero, except now I've got $20,000+ of debt I got to get paid off. But what I want to tell you guys is two things. The first thing is the thing that's crushing you right now will one day be the platform that you stand on. The thing that's hurting you and pushing down on you and it's squeezing you and it's pressure and it hurts and it sucks is one day going to be the thing that actually qualifies you to go into the places that you want to go and you want to speak and you want to do whatever it is, right? It's going to actually give you the authority. The degrees are nice. The certifications are cool. You know, being in a business for 10+ years, incredible, but there's nothing more that gives you more authority than actually experiencing difficulty in life. And Coach Tressa, we had this conversation before we even came on the show. Like, you are qualified, but it's because you went through a season, and I know your guests know this, who have been listening to you, that you went through a time where it wasn't pretty. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't about, you know, the cool guest on the podcast. It was about, God, like, I need you right now. I don't know how I'm going to see tomorrow. And that was exactly what I went through during this time. Is I had to rebuild myself. Like, I mean, my entire identity felt like it was scratched. Like, I felt like I was the laughingstock of my community. Wow, this guy thought he was a big business owner, going to go make some moves. Look at him. Now he's back in his little garage. Were they actually thinking that, or was that in my head, right? But here's the second thing. I'm like, God, why did you pull me back? Like, why am I back in the same place? Like, I feel like I've taken these few steps back. And God says, hey, what do you have to do whenever you want to take a big leap? I said, what? He said, what do you want to do when you take a big leap? You have to take a few steps back. That way you can get a running start in order to make that big jump. He said, I had to pull you back out of a situation because where I actually want you to go, you're going to have to get a running start for this. He said, I got to reset you. He said, I got to pull you back. He said, it feels like people are passing you, but he said, boy, I'm pulling you back in the sling and I'm about to let go and you are going to skyrocket past people. Now, since that has happened, you've got to see the website. You've got to see me in the mountains. You've got to see me speaking on stages. You've got to see what has happened since then. Guys, back then, I didn't expect that to happen.
Right.
I was thinking, how do I get my bills paid? Like, what does my future look like? Am I fixing to have to go flip burgers somewhere? Like, I'm thinking, I'm quitting this entrepreneur thing. I'm going back to the 9 to 5. Hang on, because God is about to, he might be pulling you back and you feel like people are running past you. Quit comparing yourself to everybody's race. It reminds me of if I can get a little spiritual here, when Peter and John at the resurrection, they're running to the tomb. Mary just told them, hey, Jesus is resurrected. And they start running to the tomb. And there's this whole bit in there where John's like, and I outran Peter to the tomb, and Peter got there and then he went right in. And it's like, why is that in there? Like, is John like trying to flex that he's faster than Peter? And it's not that picture. The picture is not about him outrunning Peter and trying to flex on him and look cool. The thing is everybody's race looks different. Mm-hmm. Some people hit a nice, solid, steady stride. Some people get there fast because if you keep reading, John got there. He was too scared to go in and actually see what had taken place. Peter got there second, but he had the boldness to walk in first. We can't compare our race to somebody else. Everybody's running their own race. Okay, I'm going to step back and I'm going to be quiet and let Tressa come in.
I ain't got nothing to say. Listen, y'all, I'm telling you, setting the bar. You setting the bar. I'm just, man, gosh, to be so transparent about that, because a lot of times in entrepreneurs, it is that fear of failure. And then when you fail, I look at it as lessons learned. Take me back a little bit. Like I know you're a speaker. We're going to get into that as the speaker and the coach part. But you said you opened up a gym. So you was a fit, personal trainer. I'm assuming training people, things like that. Yeah. What made you decide to get into that lane? Because you got to have listen, I used to have a trainer. I'm actually thinking about going back to beginning a year because now I know why trainers are necessary.
Hey, they are. And I really do believe that we're coming into a time and season in our culture where I think trainers are going to have their time to shine. Where, I hope it's something where insurance companies start working it out. Like, I mean, our health system is overwhelmed. Yeah. Doctors can't manage all of these different patients. I think we're finally, and fitness is still on the rise. I mean, we're seeing new trainers come in, but the thing is trainers have a very short-lasted career life. Most trainers give up within 6 months. I'm fixing to go on year 6. And the truth is like, I think we're coming into a time where we're going to elevate these trainers because they're needed. That when you go to a doctor, the doctor is going to prescribe, hey, you're going to do this. You're going to get on a diet. We're going to put you up with a trainer. We're going to set all these things up for you, rather than it being this, hey, you're going to take a pill, right? We're no longer going to be slapping Band-Aids on the situation, but we're going to get to the root of the problem and actually fix this thing. I hope that's what we see. Mm-hmm. I hope that's what we see. But anyway, so a little bit more of an origin story. If I can take you way back.
I just want to know what made you try to get into that sector, but right before you answer this, going back when you said something about the trainers, I think a lot of times as us, sometimes the reason why we don't see the benefit of the trainer, one, we'd be like, that's just a glorified motivational speaker telling me what to do and watching me do the reps. But in the same token, it is a cost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you as a coach, this, like, so, in business, let's say, you're a business coach, right? In business, you get online, you see all of these different fads. There's all of this different stuff. Do I get into Forex? Do I need to invest my money here? Do I need to manage my employees this way? Should I be this kind of leader? Our job as a coach is not to like tell people what to do. It's to ask the right questions to put them on the right path, right? Because there's so much complexity out there that my clients, for instance, like, we know what actually gets results when it comes to the gym. You show up consistently, you try to lift your weights, you make sure you eat healthy food, right? All of the basics. You drink your water, go for a walk, simple stuff. But then people come to me, well, hey, what about keto? Well, what about this carnivore diet? Should I be vegetarian? Should I be vegan? Hey, should I be doing CrossFit? Quit worrying about all of the different complexities and let's pull it back. Our job as a coach is just to hold people accountable to the things that actually matter the most. I mean, when we look at business, especially solo entrepreneurs, what's the actual thing that matters the most? The podcasts are awesome. The good websites are good. Like, all of that stuff's important. But at the end of the day, for us, it's prospecting. Like, we just got to get more opportunities. We got to be reaching out to people, making connections, building relationships. That's actually the lifeblood of our business. However, if we listen to social media, oh man, I got to get so many followers. I got to make sure my page looks like this. I got to get this guest on my show, all of these different things. Those are cool. Those are great, but let's not get it twisted. This is what matters most. So as a coach, that's what we have to constantly do, is pull people in. Okay. So I'm gonna will it back a little bit. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to bring it back. Okay. So you're going to laugh at this. Before I wanted to become a speaker, before I wanted to become a trainer, I've always wanted to become a speaker. But before I wanted to be a speaker, I wanted to be an actor. So what I was doing is I was going to college studying film and theater and acting because my goal was to get to LA. My whole thing was like, I got to get to LA. I'm going to be in movies. Like this is what I thought was going to happen. Like I thought I was going to graduate high school. I was going to move to the big city of Dallas, Texas. I was going to get a job as a waiter, and a famous Hollywood producer would come sit in my section. He was going to take one look at me and be like, you know what? There's something about you, kid. How's my acting? He was going to put me on a plane and ship me out to LA. I was going to get off that plane, be met my famous Hollywood director, Steven Spielberg. He was going to put me in a limousine, shoot me over to Universal Studios where I get out. I'd be escorted by a host of security guards. I'd get led to my trailer. I'd spend the rest of my days making movies, making millions, and hopefully hanging out with my girlfriend, Taylor Swift. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen. But what happened instead is that I moved to the big city. I got a job as a waiter, and I started hanging out with the wrong people. I started doing a little bit too much smoking, a little too much drinking, started enjoying a little bit too much of those areas of life and not developing myself, not actually pursuing the thing that I wanted to do. And of course, that led me down a different avenue, right? So anyways, I finally start getting my life together. I discover something called personal development. We're giving shout outs to Eric Thomas. I'll never forget it. I was sitting in an apartment room laying on my mattress. My mattress was on the floor. I didn't even have a bed frame. And I'm looking out the window and I'm scrolling online and I come across this video of Eric Thomas in the hat and the blue button up. I know you've seen this video where he shares the guru story. Now, we've all heard the guru story, right? You got to want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe. You know, he's pushing the guy's head underwater, that whole thing. And when I saw him doing that, I felt something inside of me. Like, I was like, I want to do that. Like, I want to do that. Like, he's like joking around with the kids in the video. You go watch the original video. He's like grabbing onto the kid and having fun. They're laughing, but he's like also putting home this like critical message. And it hit me at such an important time. I was like, I don't want success as bad as I want to breathe. Like, I want to be an actor. I want to make money. I want to do this stuff, but I don't want it as bad as I want to breathe. And it started to change something in me. And so it led me on this path of personal growth and development. I started reading books, listening to speakers, doing all this stuff. And I was doing all of these things to help me get to LA. I was like, okay, I got to develop myself so I can become the good actor, right? So I start going to the gym. I'm like, hey, look, if I'm going to be on camera next to like somebody like, you know, Matthew McConaughey or Idris Elba or somebody like that, like I got to make sure if my shirt's off, I look good. You know what I mean? So I'm like going to the gym, I'm working out, I'm doing all the things, trying to better myself. And I go back to university, I get my degree, and my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, she hits me with this. She says, hey, my mother has early onset dementia. She has Alzheimer's, and I'm moving back home. We were living in Austin, Texas at the time. She says, I'm moving back home. She says, we can do the long distance thing. I know you've got things set up. You're really trying to push this acting thing. You know, I love you and I support you, but I've got to go be with my mom. Me being the lover boy I am, I said, I'm going to go back with you. And so I put my dream on the back burner because I was graduating university. I've made these connections. I'm fixing to start working in film. I'm going to start doing all these different things. I'm going to start trying to get my face in front of the camera. And I said, I'm going to wait and I'm going to go home with you and we're going to figure this out. So we get home and there was probably, I'm going to say about a month where I'm laying on the couch wondering, what do I do with my life? You know? I'm like, there's no film here. There's no acting here. Like, what do I do? And my wife comes home. She's a hairstylist. She comes home one day and she says, hey, you'll never guess whose hair I just cut or whose hair I just did. And I was like, who? She's like, well, it was my friend. She's the motivational speaker. And I like perked up. I was like, how does she do what she does? And so I scheduled a call with her. She starts laying some game on me. She's like, hey, you got to have a topic. You got to know how to, you know, just laying out the lay of the land, the business, right? And she says, here's the thing. This is a momentum business. This is not something where you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're getting paid. She said, so you need to be doing something right now to make you money. What can you do right now? And I mean, Tressa, you're looking at me right now on camera and I don't look like the bodybuilding type. You know, I'm not like this huge jack swole dude or anything. And she was like, what are you passionate about? And I was like, well, I'm passionate about personal growth. I'm passionate about working out. She's like, you should become a personal trainer. Because like you said, you kind of are a glorified motivational speaker. She's like, if you want to get some reps in, literally, you should become a personal trainer. And so I was like, I kind of thought about it. I'm looking at myself in the mirror like, bro, you really don't look like a bro, but let's go for it. And so that kind of started that path. And, anybody watching this, you go to my Instagram page and scroll back to 2019 when I started that journey and look at some of those old Instagram videos. Man, I used to look at those and just cringe. You know what I mean? Like, you ever look at your old videos of you speaking or your podcast or whatever, and you're like, "Eesh."
Yes, I do. Oh my God.
But
Oh,
now,
but
but
look
now when
what
I
you
look at
did.
them, I beam because I'm like, dang, I've come so far. Like, I can see a difference. Like, I am getting better. You know what I mean? And I think that's like the right perspective to have, is like, it is a little cringe, but it's also kind of adorable. Like, dang, man, look at you. You thought you was doing something back then. So,
But you in a good arena. I mean, to be a speaker, to be a coach, and to be a trainer, and it's all in this health and wellness. Talk about a little bit why health and wellness is so important, especially as an entrepreneur. Because I always say, for me, if this ain't right, meaning my
mhm.
mental health,
Yep.
I can't create right. I can't produce. My mental health, my emotional health, even my physical health. Because when I was going through my journey of just grieving and being depressed, I wasn't active. I wasn't working out.
Right.
When I was going through a season of burnout, when I was working so many hours, I wasn't working out. Like, I was like, okay, I get to it when I can. Because a lot of us think like that, right? But think about that as an entrepreneur. You got to be well rounded in
Yes,
every
you do.
area.
No, it's exactly that. It's exactly the well-rounded thing. And that was the thing that I discovered becoming a trainer and an entrepreneur, going into business for myself, is I realized, you talk about health and wellness, how much of a holistic perspective you have to have on everything. Is that in entrepreneurship, I love it because it relates to fitness so much. It relates to life so much. That's why I say I'm your trainer for life, because I don't want you to just be physically fit. I want you to be mentally, emotionally, and spiritually fit as well. Like, I don't just want to be your fitness coach. I want to be your life coach, right? I want to be your spiritual mentor. I want you to, as Myron Golden says, I want you to live your best life for the rest of your life. And so, like, yeah, there's this holistic dynamic that has to take place. Like, if you're sick in the head, meaning not like actually sick in the head, but like you're just like not feeling good mentally, you're just in a mentally bad spot, like that affects you emotionally, and that affects you physically, and that affects you spiritually. It affects all of these different areas. And then, they have these, what they call the 8 areas of wellness. We don't have to go into all of that today, but you have 4 main ones, right? Your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, your physical. But if these 4 really start to suffer, it starts to affect your social, it affects your financial, it affects your environmental. All of these different areas really start to get messed up. But what's also really cool about that is if you be super intentional about strengthening just one of those areas. Maybe for somebody listening to this, I'm going to focus really hard on building my spiritual strength, right? I'm going to get close to the Lord. Like, I'm going to spend more time reading my Bible. I'm going to spend time in prayer. Like, I'm going to build that muscle up. Then you're going to start to see it spread into these other areas. Hey, I'm going to spend a lot of time in 2025, like, getting my body right. Like, I'm going to actually go to the gym. I'm going to make it a thing where I go 3 or 4 times a week. I'm going to hire a coach or a trainer. I'm going to go to the grocery store and get the food. Like, I'm going to do all the things, and I'm going to actually like really work on this being like my area of focus. Then you start to see all of these other areas. And then there's this quote that I love. I think it's from the book called The Book of 5 Rings. Have you heard of this one? It's by this like Japanese dude. Anyways, it's an old book. I think it's like a war strategy book. But what he says is, when you see the way broadly, you see it in all things. And what that means is, the same principles that help you get fit in the gym are the exact same principles that can help you grow your business. They're the exact same principles that can help you strengthen your faith. They're the exact same principles that can help you, build your relationship. That's why we talk about, speaking, getting reps, right? What are reps? It's repetitions. It's what you do in the gym, right? That's how you get stronger. It's reps. I mean, you can trace almost everything back to some sort of fitness thing. So as I was like building this fitness business, I was seeing how I can help build up other people in whatever it is, whether it's their faith, or it's their mental health, or it's their workplace, it's their leadership. These principles apply everywhere. And I think if you can tap into what those principles are, like, you can help anybody in the world.
And not only that, you also are building their confidence, because I don't mean no harm, but when you drop a little weight, man, look,
That clang of the weights.
you be looking good. What Deion Sanders say? When you look good, you play good.
That's so true. It
So
is
that's what
so
I'm saying. You
true.
also building up that confidence too.
Yes. Yes, that's a big thing that I talk about. The students who I go and speak to, that's kind of my primary target right now, or my primary audience right now, is students and youth. And man, they struggle with confidence so much. They try so hard to, want to be trendy, impress people, and what ends up happening is we make carbon copies when God has called you to be an individual, right? He makes nobody the same. But it's interesting. I do this one thing where I tell students, I'll pull them up on stage and we go through a little workout, and I make them do this like cheesy thing where they got to embrace where they are in the moment. It's cheesy. People are laughing, but I'm like, hey, this might be goofy, but this actually works. Like, this can really, really help you. And the whole point that I try to make with that is like, we've created this culture where we feel like, man, if I look good on the outside, I'll feel good on the inside, but it's actually the other way around. When I feel good on the inside, I start to look good on the outside. There's something about when you build that confidence on the inside, you just start walking different. You start carrying yourself different. People start saying like, Tressa, why are you smiling all the time? Why are you always just happy? Like, what is happening? And you're like, man, I'm fired up. Like, life is just good.
That part.
Yeah.
That part. Are you still doing training today? I mean, I know you got the speaking. So do you do virtual?
I do. Yeah. So, we do virtual programs. So it's not like we get on a camera and we're like working out together. That'd be kind of weird. But I mean, we have conversations just like this. I give you the program, you go run the play. We tap back in every week, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever works. And, we just start saying, okay, well, hey, are we checking the boxes? Are we making progress? What needs to change? How can we get better? It's just like coaching anything, And so that's what it's going to be a really difficult thing as this one aspect of the business grows. The speaking side of things is managing this other side. And it goes back to that ship analogy, right? Like, how do you manage all of this different stuff? You got the battleships, you got the sails, you got all this different stuff. And it's like, you have to learn how to, I kind of view it as like tending a garden. You know what I mean? So you got the vegetables over here. You got to make sure you take care of them. Then you got to go trim the bushes up over here. And then you got to, anyways. So, but yes, still doing that and still building that up. And I love that. That's like it's how it is. You get up in front of people and you make an impact on 30, 50, 100, 500 people, whatever your audience size is. And that's awesome, right? There's an energy there. But there's also like something to be said about that one-on-one, like, okay, tell me about you. Like, where are you at today? Like, how can we make some progress? Like, what are we needing? Like, what do we need to do? That's just such a like special thing. You know what I mean? So I love that one-on-one aspect of the training side of things.
Yeah. No, it definitely works. Like one time when I had a trainer, I invested in the first 2 months, I didn't see results. And here's another thing I want to tell people this. When you're investing with a trainer, any coach, not just a physical coach, but so he gave me the play, which was, I need you to log your food in. I'm like, I don't even really eat like that. Like, I fast in the morning. I may eat one meal a day or whatever, but he kept wanting me to log my food in. But here's the thing, after 2 months, and I'm seeing I wasn't losing weight in the beginning. Now I'm putting it on him. Man, what am I wasting this money for? And I was about to quit. And he's like, look, okay, I'm going to give you additional 2 months, and we work something out. Don't worry about the pay, whatever. I just need you to follow the play.
Yep.
All right, fine. I'll listen to you this time, but I'm just telling you. So started logging my food, started doing what he was telling me to do. Well, lo and behold, I started losing weight. I was like, well, what did I do differently? Well, what it was is I didn't realize just what I'm thinking. Like, it's only this amount of calories. This don't be adding up.
Yeah.
I can't eat a whole sleeve of Ritz crackers now. I'm only supposed to have 7. Why am I? But I was like, oh my God. And then he's like, well, you ain't getting enough protein. And I'm like, well, dang, what you mean ain't getting enough protein? That's another thing. Like, what do you do when people say they don't want to eat meat like that? Like, it was a lot, but I will say now I know why coaches, just like for me, if you don't follow my program, you can't expect results.
Yes. Yep. You got to follow the play. It's so funny. Going back to the food thing, we vastly underestimate how many calories we take in when it comes to that food. It's like, it adds up so quick. It's like, well, I didn't eat breakfast. I got room for Chick-fil-A tonight. It's like, no, just grill that chicken at home, make you some homemade barbecue sauce, do yourself.
Yes. And on your website, I love the tagline. It says a holistic approach to personal development. I do like that. I want to talk a little bit about even this entrepreneurship journey, one, like I told you during a pre-call, I suffered from burnout. A lot of people suffer from burnout. And I know you said that's one of your topics, and it's still health and wellness.
Yes.
Did you experience that? Like, can you share some light on how did you get back to getting that out? What did you do to prevent it or overcome it?
Well, I think the big thing is sometimes we talk about experiencing burnout, and it's like, you ain't experienced burnout. Like, I'm fixing to tell you what burnout looks like. You see athletes who they start overtraining. They're working out too much. They're not resting properly. They're not eating right. They're not sleeping right. They're really overworking their bodies. You'll get to a place where they don't bounce back. Like, that's burnout. Like, that's real burnout. Like, they don't bounce back. Like, they don't come back. Like, it puts them out of their career because just the injuries don't heal. Like, and mentally, it is like literally your central nervous system gets so worn down that it's like you can't even function. Like, and I'm saying this because in 2022, 2023, I like got a taste of this because I was like flirting with it. I was like, burnout, I ain't worried about that. I was like, I'm fixing to go all in on my business. I'm fixing to go all in on my workouts. I'm fixing to go all in on all of this different stuff. So what I was doing at the time is I was going all in on my training business. Really wasn't even speaking a lot during this time. And I was running these obstacle course races. Are you familiar with these? Like, okay, so like the Ninja Warrior stuff you see on TV, but you have to run for like miles and miles and miles. It's almost like you think like Army style, Navy style type stuff. So I still am like super into that kind of stuff. Like, I love that stuff. I love competing in them. And for me, once again, it's almost like training ground for life. Like, these obstacles you got to overcome. You got to crawl through nasty, dirty, difficult situations. You got to drag heavy stuff. Situations you don't want to be a part of. Like, it's literally training ground for life for me. I love it. And so I'm training for these obstacle course races, and I'm like beating my body up. This is a tough, demanding, and grueling sport. I mean, it demands a lot from you. So I'm like going all in on the training, and I'm like trying to lock in the nutrition. I'm running a business at the same time. And then at the time I was a part of this company where they kind of like, I was like a contracted partner where I was like selling supplements. So my clients, everyone I work with, people online, they would buy supplements from me, and then I would get like a percentage from the company, right? But the thing is they started like really pushing like more sales, need you posting, need you doing all of these different things, need you hitting these check boxes. And so I'm like, I had that mentality like, all right, let's go. Like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I'm trying to plug in all this stuff. And then I started to feel that grind. There's a place, there's this sweet spot where when you're working and you're going through life and you're doing the entrepreneur thing, and man, just things are flowing and you're having fun with it and it's enjoyable. And you're like, well, I can take on a little bit more. Like, I'm still vibing. Like, okay, the plate's a little heavy, but I can take on a little bit more. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now I'm starting to slow down. I'm starting to feel it, but now I've already got this stuff in my hands. I can't just drop it, So it's like, I got to plow through, right? We got to put on the brave face and keep moving. And so I kept going. And literally I woke up one day and was like sick. I was like, I don't know if this is COVID or what, but I was like, I feel like I'm about to die. Like I'm like, my body was just shutting down. And I mean, I completely stopped doing the supplements. I took like a little bit of time off training, like working out. And I was like working with my clients, but I wasn't even present. Like, I was just like not there, And I was like, oh, this is burnout. It's not me. I'm just tired of going to my job, right? No, it's like literally I can't do anything. Like, I can't think straight. Yeah. I'm eating my food. I'm still trying to sleep. You get to a point where it starts to like work back on you. Like, you try to go to sleep, you can't. You got insomnia. Like, it starts working against you. And so literally, like, what you have to do, you get into that place. And this is a really difficult thing, is you almost have to like completely reset. Like, you've got to completely go like back to the basics of life, Hey, like, I wake up, I go to my job, I eat my food, I spend some time with family. That's it. I'm not trying to do all this other stuff. And it's like, dang, bro, where'd you go? You was off social for like a whole quarter. It's like, bro, I had to put my life back together. It's like, dang, what happened? You and your wife going through it? It's like, no, like, I was just burnt out. Like, and so now I know like where that threshold is. Like, I can tell like, there it is. Like, okay, let me pull back a little bit. And that's once again, like, kind of the benefit of like working out and training is because like you start to find where that area is with your physical body. And then you realize that the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, there's a place for that too. You can kind of start to decipher, I'm touching into some sketchy area. Let me pull back a little bit. So I wrote this thing down yesterday, and I think this holds true for what a lot of like corporate people call burnout. Let's say it's people in sales, or it's people in HR, or it's just your typical employees, like day-to-day type operations. What I wrote down is burnout is what happens when workload exceeds vision. Burnout is what happens when workload exceeds vision. When you can't see where the destination is, like where you're going, like what the goal is, what the objective is, what the light at the end of the tunnel is, and you've got all of this workload that seems like it's past the vision, like, bro, I don't even know what I'm working for anymore. Like, I just feel like I'm grinding nonstop. Like, what's the end goal of this? Like, when does it stop? When does it end? That's when burnout happens. Like, that's when you're like, you know what? I'm good. Like, I'm done. Like, I think I'm fixing to start looking for another job. And so I think for leaders in corporate, our goal should be to help people see beyond the horizon. Like, hey, I know it's like really hard right now, but understand this is what we're working towards. And this is what it means for you as the employee. Like your life, like I know it's a grind right now, but it's going to get better once we can kind of get to this place. We're going to be able to do this as an operation. We're going to be able to make this happen. And so inviting people into that rather than like, well, you just got to work harder. You know, the whole John Wayne, if you know who that is, John Wayne, you got to pull it up by your bootstraps and just tough it out. It's like, I think that transparency in leadership goes a long way with your employees. Like, hey, this is really what we got to make happen. I know it's a grind, but this is what it means for us. And this is what it means for you. And that pulls them in. It gives them ownership, and it lets them see like, okay, I'm working for something, not at something.
Yeah, no, that's so true. You know, and I think I shared this with you. Being in a corporate space, companies want healthy employees.
Yes.
When you have employees that are sick and going to the doctor, the claims go up, right?
Yep.
And as claims go up, your monthly insurance premium goes up. So when it's time for open enrollment and you're like, well, dang, how are we going? Why is this going up? I didn't even go to the doctor but one time. Well, here's the thing. It's a collective whole from the whole organization.
Yeah.
These companies are meeting these brokers and it'll say, hey, you guys had X amount of claims because this. They don't go into the detail with it because of HIPAA, but they'll say, hey, so companies, I love when I see corporations having,
corporate wellness. Yes.
Fitness. And that's one of the things that I'm tapping into because wellness, burnout, the confidence, they want high achievers and performers, but they want to make sure you're well doing it versus being so burnt out. And then guess what? You're quitting. That's another thing I talk about, how to attract and retain top talent. It's a work life, and this is the balance, right? And if this ain't right, depending on the way the wind is blowing one day, you're either dealing with life is lifing, or you're dealing with work because work demands are crazy through the roof.
Yes, that's so good. It reminds me of this thing somebody shared with me, and it really pertains to or what the way they were presenting it is it pertained to like students in school, but it's the same thing with employees and work because really, I mean, you look at a lot of businesses and what we're just a bunch of big kids in there working. But here, I'm gonna draw it out for you really quick. Okay. So you got here. Let me write it like this. And I messed up. Hold on. Okay, so you got three things. You got your school, you got your job, you got your home. Okay? You've got this like triangle. The third one is your mind. Okay, so you see this? You got your job, your home, and your mind. Chances are, golly, I'm all backwards. I can't even do this.
No, it's backwards. No, I can see it regular.
So you are going to be experiencing stress probably at two places at any point in time. Man, you're struggling with your spouse, your kids are getting on your nerves, you're not getting good sleep. Maybe you got a brand new baby. I got a baby coming, so I'm going to be dealing with this one pretty soon. You got a lot of stress going on here. Then you're trying to manage employees. You're trying to, think of like, hey, man, I really need to get back in the gym. Man, I got this bill coming up. I got to figure out how I'm going to pay. These two things are big stressors to you. So where does it manifest on the external? Right here. You start taking it out on your employees or your colleagues, you're seeing it manifest here. Sometimes people got a big stressor at their job. Man, like these people at my work, they are getting on my nerves. I'm struggling with the mental too, because like, I'm trying to figure, I'm trying to balance my mental and my emotional. Like I don't have time for me anymore. There's this mental battle going on. So where does it manifest? It manifests at the home. Now you're coming home and taking it out on your wife or your kids, and you're not present with them. And they're like, well, what happened? Why can't you talk to me anymore? Right. So anytime we're experiencing two of these things, it always manifests in the other place, if that makes sense.
I like that. Look at you over there with the illustration.
I should have had a dry erase board back here or something.
No, you're speaking on it. And I love that. And I love the fact that you talk about that. That's why I said I can't wait to look. I got to get you out here in the DMV.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, bring me out. I mean, I know you're holding it down, and that's got to be a big job in itself too. Because, whoo.
Listen, I tell you, and I'm right now. Some days and here's the thing. I've learned that my mental health is so important, and I protect my peace. I don't even know how I do it all, because you would think I had a whole orchestrated team behind me. I do have my, some part-time consultants that like help me with a flyer here and there, and then like even with the staffing side. But for the most part, I'm doing it all.
Yeah.
And still doing the booking. And that's another thing too. One of my friends, she was like, yeah, I ain't got speaking engagements and stuff like that. I said, you gotta put the work out. Like you gotta go out there. People don't really, I give myself a goal. Like I told myself this week, I want to reach out to 50 companies.
That's good.
50, 10 a day. And if I do more, whatever it is, and I don't know if you listen to Ed Milet.
Yes.
And that power of one more. One more call.
One more rep. Yes. No, but
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, so I'm intentional. I'm very intentional how I start my day, how I start my week. I manifest, y'all. I don't even think y'all realize the power of manifestation. Like I manifest what I want. I speak it out loud and proud about it. God, I thank you in advance for the contract that's coming this week. I thank you. This week alone, I got 2 contracts signed for next year.
Wow,
we're right now at 8 signed total contracts for next year. So I say all to say, to much is given, much is required. Like you guys, some of you want the success, you want the promise, but you don't want to go through the process. Well, fall in love with the process.
Yes.
Fall in love. Listen, you want to lose weight? Of course you do. I had to fall in love with the process, which is putting the reps in, getting up, going to the gym. And at the end of the day, listen, y'all, you matter. Your mental health matters. Your emotional health matters. And if you want it, like E.T. said, what did he say? What was the quote? He said, you said it earlier.
When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you will be successful.
Listen, at the end of the day, your life, you only get one thing of this thing called life. Life, y'all, I'm telling you. And I, seen people come and go that matter to me in my life. And so I don't take this thing for granted. And so I do believe that it's, like you said, a holistic approach to every area, but it got to start with this health and wellness and what you're doing to your body. For real. Like I say, I want to thrive in 2025, but that got to be every area, not just getting these contracts. Because if I'm out of breath on stage and my stamina ain't up there.
Come on, coach.
So that's how, I'm sorry, I had a little moment.
No, that is good, man.
I just be thinking like, dang, Tressa, people look at me like I got it going on. And I'm like, y'all don't even realize the work that I put in, the grind. And I will say this, I shortchanged my sleep and I'm working on it. I'm getting maybe about 4 or 5 hours of sleep. And I know that's not good. And when my body shuts down on Saturdays or Sundays, it shuts down.
Yes.
And I got to get better. I know that's an area that I'm struggling in, because like last night, I was up to 1 o'clock editing the podcast. And I told my friend, I said, you know what? Lessons learned. This podcast was done over a week ago and I should have had it edited, but I waited till the last minute because I had other stuff going on.
Well, it goes back to what you asked earlier about the health and wellness for the entrepreneur. And so there's a couple of things. One is real entrepreneurs, like the ones who we can't go back. Like not that like we're above it. Like, no, literally we cannot operate in a space where like we have to work 9 to 5 or we have to work a shift job or something like that. Like we would be crushed because it's just like we can't operate in that space. We like 16-hour days. almost nothing for people like us, because that's just how we operate. Like that, we are just like, it's almost like you look at Benjamin Franklin and some of these like like they were doing that kind of stuff. Like it's just like they didn't know how to turn off it. And like, I don't want to like put entrepreneurs on a pedestal. We're not better. We're just different. Like
Yep.
we just, the way we operate is just a little bit different. We just don't know how to turn it off. Like I had the biggest thing for me, for you, it's sleep. Like that's one thing I know how to prioritize. Like I'm going to get my 8 hours. But the thing is from the moment I wake up, I'm on. And what's hard for me is, I got my 4-year-old little boy who wants to come up and play, and Daddy, watch me draw, and let's color together, and let's play puppies, and, do all the fun kid stuff. And me, I'm like, okay, let's do it. But my mind's thinking about work. And I got to get better at turning that off and being with my kid, because he's only 4 one time.
Yes, that part. And I'm so proud of you of just your journey. And you guys, make sure y'all pick him up on all these social media channels. Chase Inspires. Please make sure you pick him up. And listen, y'all, if you want to book him, like corporate, schools,
Let's talk more.
nonprofit, faith-based, like I'm telling you guys, you will not be disappointed. And
No,
you gotta listen.
I just want to make sure I always do my best,
No, but you know what? You got to be proud and promote yourself. That's another thing.
Yeah.
That's another thing. And that's a whole nother episode. Entrepreneurs don't promote themselves enough. It's like, that whole marketing piece.
Yep.
You got to stand out. And let me tell y'all something. His website, that's why I was like, oh my God. And then I'm looking at the one that says, why choose Chase? Would you flex your muscle?
People going to go on here and be like, look, he think he's somebody.
I'm like, okay, you really taking things seriously.
Gotta live
it. Yeah, like.
Hey, I know we're about to wrap, but can I finish with one last thing before we?
Oh yeah, because I was going to ask. Yeah, go ahead. But I was going to ask you. Like, of course, I do want to know what's coming up ahead and what you got going on. But go ahead. Anything you want to share?
So you were saying, just a minute ago about, man, you got to be willing to speak these things out loud. Like you got to be willing to be able to talk about it. And I think that is like one of the most powerful concepts that somebody who's experiencing doubt right now, they're experiencing like low self-esteem or low self-confidence, start speaking it out loud. Rabbi Daniel Lapin, he wrote this book called Thou Shalt Prosper. And in it, he talks about the power behind positive declarations, not like these like affirmations, and I'm all about affirmations too. But he was saying these positive statements out loud, it does something because you speak it out and it's your voice reverberating back into your own ear and causing it to sink deeper into your heart. It affects you differently. Like you're like, well, I'm thinking like I'm confident and I'm thinking I'm going to be successful. No, say it out loud. There's something like, for some people, Tressa, it's hard for people to say out loud, I'm going to be a multimillionaire. I'm going to be a billionaire. I'm going to be a successful entrepreneur. I'm going to be a great husband. It's hard for them to say some of these things out loud. But when you do and your ears hear it, it actually sinks deeper into who you are and you actually believe it. And so what I got coming up, I want to send you one of these. So this is a book I literally just got done writing. It drops tomorrow. And we're going on this piece about speaking out loud. And the reason it hits so close to me is because I've got a chapter in here titled Speak to Your Dreams. And it covers exactly what we just talked about. So this goes deep into the origin story. You want to see me come from, a 2-time college dropout, $12,000 in debt, and become somebody who's being able to travel and speak and run a business and stuff like that. Like this drops down like the game that actually changed my life.
Well, first of all, you said this drops tomorrow. I know we're filming. Okay, so we're actually, guys, recording. We're recording this on November 22nd, so November 23rd. Yep. And your episode is getting dropped. What's the first Friday in December?
Man, why are you gonna throw that on me? I don't know. The first Friday, the 6th.
That's the 6th. Yeah, because I got somebody already scheduled for next Friday. Okay. So yeah, so by that time, so listen, I can't wait because it's gonna be on Amazon and all that.
Yep, it's on Amazon. You can get it on my site too, chaseinspires.com/Garden of Greatness book. Yeah, if you just go to my site, you're going to be able to find it on there. I've got it all over that thing.
Okay. And I'm going to put the links in the show notes, in the description. We're going to promote this thing. I'm going to put it out to my newsletter, to my community, because I definitely love it. No, I definitely love supporting, and you don't have to send me a book. I'm going to purchase one.
Girl, quit playing with me. Well, hey, how about this? When you do, I'm going to give you some of these stickers I got too. I got stickers for the book.
You made stickers?
I made stickers. I'm telling you, I'm so excited about this. Grow your greatness. We're about to grow up.
You need to get that on a shirt.
I got it on a shirt. You want a shirt too?
Oh my God. Listen, y'all. I tell you, is this your first book?
No, this is my second, but let me tell you, the first one was trash. And I'm willing to say that out loud. This one, I poured everything I had into this thing. This thing is good.
What inspired you to write it?
So, we're talking about E.T. and, we're talking about the guru story. I remember hearing the story. I went back and revisited. I was like, man, I'm going to go back and listen to that again. And I'm listening to it. And God is so funny. I said, God, I wish you'd give me a mentor like that. And God said, I did. You missed them. I said, what? He said, yeah, your grandma. And I said, oh, hold up. So 2-time college dropout, evicted from 2 apartments, fired from multiple jobs, $12,000 in debt, living out of my car, living in Dallas, Fort Worth area, out of my car. And I moved back to the city of Texarkana, which is where I'm at right now, my hometown. This was 10 years ago. I couldn't get a job. I couldn't, my own family who has a business would not even hire me. They're like, bro, we can't trust you. Like I'm saying, it was like that. So I go to my grandma and I'm like, I'm hoping she'll cut me a check. Like I didn't really want a job. This is how far I've come. I didn't really want a job. I just wanted her to cut me a check. So I had some money in my pocket. And she goes, Chase, I could cut you a check for that 12 grand. She said, I care enough about you to where I could do that, but I love you enough to teach you what's actually going to help you make so much money you'll never have to ask again. And so I went to work for my grandma in her backyard, in her garden, and she taught me the principles that I share in this book. Now, I'll be honest with you, during this time, that's when I started getting into the personal development. I learned about Dr. Eric Thomas and Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar, the classics, right? And it was during this whole season of my life where I started to learn these things, apply them. So everything I learned during this time, I put in this book because it has been completely transformational for me. So the cool thing is if you've never embarked on a personal transformation journey, a personal development journey, you're going to eat this book up. It's so good. For those of you who have been on this journey for a long time, you're going to love going back through it to see yourself in the same process. Like you're going to be like, oh, man, I remember when I first learned that. Man, I remember whenever I picked that up. Like, man, I connect with that so much. Like you're going to find yourself in this story. And that's how powerful it is.
Wow. Well, I'm honored that, you're on here promoting it and it's dropping tomorrow. I can't wait to promote it, put it in my stories. The link, make sure you send me the direct links as well. Yes. So I can have it. And shout out to Grandma.
Yes. Thank you, Nana. I call her Nana.
Thank you, Nana.
Thank you, Nana.
We give her flowers.
Yes. And hey, we need to give you your flowers. Coach Tressa, you said you started this in February?
2/24/24.
You guys, I can't remember exactly what the quote is from Kanye West when he says, essentially he says, people live their whole life and they never get the flowers they deserve. I can't remember exactly what it is verbatim. But anyways, for those of you guys who are listening, get on to Tressa's social channels, share the show with somebody, fire up her comment section with loves and hearts and amens and all that kind of stuff. Just let her know that this show is making a difference in your life because, man, so many people, they go their entire life without getting the flowers they deserve. And girl, you deserve it.
Thank you. We family now, man. We family. Yeah. The CTG family. Yes.
That's right.
And you're in the first year of this journey. And I've already, if you heard some of the previous episodes, I'm already manifesting a Convicted to Grow 2-day conference. Yes, next year. And guess what? I'm tapping into the people who've been on this podcast first.
Yes, I'm ready.
Just send me your 2024 price because I'm not doing that for
I got you, girl. I got you, girl.
So I'm excited for that. And yeah, no, it's definitely going to be huge. So what can we expect for the remainder of the year into what is the 2025 vision looking like?
So 2025, the big goal for me personally, and I think a lot of people will probably resonate with this and want to pick this up for themselves if they haven't already, is for me, this was actually a goal for this year, but I made a mistake. At the beginning of this year, I said, you know what, 2024 is not going to be my year. I'm going to give it to God and let him do something with it. And whenever I did that, he completely wrecked my life for the better, but he wrecked my life. So my goal for the next year, it's God's year too, right? But the big goal is systems. I want to get some systems laid down, like especially if I want to continue to build up my personal training business while I'm traveling, I got to have some better systems in place. And so I think that means that for me and for you as well, I'm sure, and some of your listeners, we as entrepreneurs, we can be high level thinkers, meaning we like to see the big vision. We like the big stages. We like the traveling. We like to do all that kind of stuff. We like to see, all the cool stuff happening, but we don't like to get our hands in the dirt and actually do the dirty, gritty work. And so I think for next year, there's going to be a lot of like hands in the dirt, getting in the nasty, like really getting the systems like established and like thought out, well planned out, whatever it is, to make sure I'm built on that solid ground to grow up.
Ooh, yes. You better grow up so you can glow up. Y'all better stop playing.
I like that.
Yeah, write that down. That's
so good.
Yes. My last question. In 90 seconds or less, tell me, what does convicted to grow mean to you?
I think I can probably do it in 30. When you understand what God has placed you here on this earth to do, when you understand what he came to this earth to do, then you see that the only way that you can pay it back to him is to become your best self. And there's some conviction there. I think whenever you actually get a true revelation for who he is and what he's called you to do, that anything other than that is just like, it's disobedience. And we don't want to be in disobedience. Like, I know my best self is a requirement from God, so I got to get to work.
Just so you know, mic drop, y'all. Mic drop.
Yes.
That was to the point, but so powerful. Powerful. Yeah. Like, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for saying yes to this. I pray that everything that you've been praying for, the desires of your heart, come to pass. Whatever that goal, that money goal, I pray that it's going to triple in terms of the rewards. I mean, you've been planting seeds, gardening in your every area of your life.
Come on.
You touching the youth, you're touching leaders, you're transforming lives through your fitness, through your coaching, through your speaking. And this ain't gonna be the last. I'm telling y'all publicly, this ain't gonna be the last y'all see me and him. For some reason, I'm very intentional, but I'm a good sense of discernment when it comes to just certain things. And I sense you are truly a gem. You definitely represent God, and I know he's saying he's pleased of your good works and being obedient. I always say obedience births favor. So keep doing you, keep spreading love, and I can't wait to see what's 2025 gonna bring. And I can listen, them books. So now you got that book too. Here's another thing. When I was doing the corporate event, and I know we'll talk offline and more about that, but you got books. That's a different price.
We're going to talk about it here in a minute. And Coach, thank you so much for having me on, Coach Tressa. This was so much fun. And the very first time, as soon as we got on the pre-call and we were just kind of chopping it up, I was like, oh yeah, this is my new homie. So this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you once again. And guys, please make sure you go follow him. Don't just go follow him. Make sure you comment on one of his reels or posts.
Yes.
And if you do, put hashtag convicted to grow so we know you came over from the podcast. Please go follow him. You would not be disappointed. I promise you. Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I'm working on that one. I need to give it a little more love and affection.
Yeah. We definitely got to get you over there on that. But IG, I'm telling you, Threads, please go follow. He's dropping daily motivation and inspiration on a day-to-day basis. Y'all, as I always say to you guys, life is a journey, right? Life is priceless. And to some, life is short. But while you here on God's green earth, you recognize who you are. You step into your potential because you are destined for greatness. You are naturally dynamic. You got what it takes to win, but you got to believe that thing. You got to speak those things as though they were. So I encourage you, I challenge you that this week you make it great on purpose. Start writing down your 2025 goals. Yes, we into November. By the time you see this episode, it's going to be December. So start writing down your 2025 goals. Start manifesting what you want, because guess what, baby? We will thrive in 2025. Love you guys.